days passed, but there was no sign of Jungkook. Ever since the moment Taeyang insulted Jungkook, guilt had started to eat Taeyang up. He honestly felt so disappointed about himself for being that low, and those teary eyes of Jungkook was flashing in front of his eyes each and every second. He literally couldn't think about anything other than what happened between him and Jungkook, which made him badly wanted to get a glimpse of Jungkook, as he wanted to know the condition of Jungkook, as he felt he was too harsh towards him. Plus, the non-stop lectures and the advices of Jimin and his statements of disappointment made him more guilty, because Jimin was also quite angry with Tae because of his earlier behavior. In those 3 days, he didn't got any news about JK. He had not attended school, no, he didn't see him at home. He didn't even had courage to ask about Jungkook from his mom nor from Sohee. It was about 1 a.m. in the morning when Taeyong finally fell asleep after so many struggles. But his sleep didn't last long, as he automatically wake up feeling a sudden cold breeze hitting him. He slowly rubbed his eyes, pulling the sheets more towards him to see the window being opened while the curtains were dancing, getting hit by wind, making him shiver, feeling so cold. He was about to avert his gaze from the window when he suddenly felt a palm over his mouth, making him startled as he immediately tried to remove the palm over his mouth, trying to look at the owner of the palm. Taeyang startled more when he saw the person's face, feeling goosebumps as he started to resist more, resulting his hands to get pinned above his head by the person, as he got scared seeing the situation of that certain specific person who was none other than JK. JK, shh, calm down, sweetheart. As long as you keep your this pretty mouth shut, I'm going to be gentle with you. Jungkook whispered against Tae's ear as he rubbed his lip over Tae's ear, sending shivers down Tae's spine, making Taeyang numb for a second while being hovered over Taeyang. Taeyang could feel the smell of alcohol from Jungkook, indicating that JK was drunk, and his eyes had turned red like he had been crying for so long, which kinda ached Tae's heart as he stared at the face, being too stunned as he truly didn't know what to do in this type of situation. Jungkook let out a chuckle as he took his palm off Tae's mouth as he stared at Taeyang's face, admiring his facial features as he slowly his finger over Tae's face from head to lips, trailing his finger over Tae's lip with some pressure as Taeyang's body unknowingly started to shake, as it was the very first time someone was touching him in that way, because the very first time he kissed Jungkook, he was quite drunk to feel the moment. Jungkook, how can you look this beautiful, my love? Even after all these things which happened, you still make my heart flutter the same, princess, he said while shaking his head with disappointment as he still couldn't make up his mind to hate Taeyang after what happened. JK's voice was so husky, which was powerful enough to send shivers down Tae's body every time he heard JK. It didn't take much long for Taeyang to understand that Jungkook was fully drunk and wasn't in his sense. He could see in JK's eyes, which was filled with many more unreadable emotions, which increased Tae's fear as he was afraid what if JK did something wrong to him. But still, he managed to stay a little calm as he clearly knew he can't match JK's strength. Taeyang's eyes were fascinated seeing how handsome Jungkook was as he admired JK's face, which he had never done before. Tae's focus was interrupted when he felt JK's cold hand making his way towards Tae's tummy area, making Tae's breath hitched. Tae let out unknowingly, making Tae feel embarrassed as he immediately controlled himself. Jungkook slowly ran his finger along Tae's as he dipped one of his fingers inside Tae, making Taeyang arch his back unknowingly, making JK smile. Within seconds, JK changed their positions, pulling Taeyang to his lap, pushing their bodies together so close, while Tae's legs were on either side of JK being bent. Taeyang tried to move away from Jungkook, but JK's grip on Tae's waist tightened, making Taeyang hiss in pain. JK, why so hurry, my love? Won't you enjoy my touch? He said, making Tae face him. Tae, Jungkook, this is wrong. Please leave me. Jungkook chuckled once again as they could see sadness in JK's eyes. JK, why can't you love me, Tae? His voice suddenly changed from husky to so desperate, heartbroken, sad voice. What do I lack? Please, baby, tell me, please. He begged as he kissed his face with one hand while the other hand was still holding Tae's waist. Do you really hate me that much, Tae, that you don't want to see my face? He said as Tae's heart started to ache more, making him want to console JK, but the other part of Taeyang wasn't letting him to do so. JK, I really love you, Tae. I love you so damn much. Tears started to brim in JK's eyes, and Tae's eyes also started to get wet seeing JK being this vulnerable in front of him. I loved you ever since the moment I first saw you, seeing your cute tiny face, which able to raise my heartbeat at our very first meeting. No matter how much you used to bully me, I couldn't stop myself from falling for you each and every second. JK was letting out all the emotions he had been capturing for so long. JK, and when we grew up, you became more and more beautiful, which made it quite hard for me to stop myself from resisting you. And I didn't know when I started to get drenched with desires to have you, love you, and to make you mine. And I couldn't watch other boys thinking and looking at you with bad intentions. And that's why I used to pick fights with them. Tears started to flow from JK's eyes as he sniffed. JK, when Yuntin said you said yes to him, I couldn't hold myself. I wanted to snatch you away, hiding you with me. I felt so jealous. I couldn't hold back myself, he said as more tears rolled down from his eyes as he finally confessed the truth. His hand unknowingly made their way towards JK's eyes, wiping his tears, feeling bad for JK. But within seconds, JK's mood changed as his eyes darkened. JK, but now everything is destroyed, he said as anger rushed up through his body, making Taeyang kinda scared once again. You were right. This filthy peasant doesn't deserve your love, he said as Taeyang shook his head as no, as tears started to fall from Tae's eyes. Few silent seconds passed when JK once again woke up, his voice followed with a chuckle. But you don't have to worry anymore. I'm not going to bother you anymore. This filthy peasant is not going to irritate you anymore. Never after today, he said with cold, devastated eyes, making Taeyang speechless. Jungkook slowly closed the gap between them as he onto Tae's, like his life depended on it, making Taeyang freeze on the spot as he didn't back. But before it took any longer, Jungkook's husky voice was heard once again. Jungkook demanded with his deep husky voice, sending shivers down Taeyang's spine as he unknowingly started to respond to JK as Jungkook smirked, feeling satisfied. And now Jungkook was hovering over Tae, and after about 15 minutes, JK detached himself while Taeyang was waiting for JK to crash onto him once again, like they did. But 5 to 6 seconds passed, but he didn't feel JK again, making him stand up immediately only to find the room empty. His eyes roamed across each and every corner of the room. After touching his own lips, he couldn't believe what just happened, as it felt like a dream. After that, he couldn't sleep peacefully anymore. So many thoughts started to rush onto his mind, making him wanted to meet Jungkook and apologize. He kept tossing onto different sides of the bed when finally alarm struck 3 o'clock in the morning. He jumped out of the bed as he went to the living room just to find Mr. and Mrs. Kim in the living room, making him surprised at as it was only 5 a.m. in the morning. Mr. and Mrs. Kim also got surprised seeing Tae that early in the morning as they used to wake up late. Mr. and Mrs. Kim looked like they just finished some business, which made Taeyang confused. Tae, what are you guys are doing? Mrs. Kim, we went to send Jungkook off with Sohee. Tae, to send Cookie off? To where? And why? He asked blankly. Mrs. Kim, yeah, they don't act like you don't know, he simply said as he was about to turn to leave. They, huh? What are you guys are trying to say? God, just speak up, he almost yelled, making Mr. and Mrs. Kim confused by the sudden impatient nature of Tae. Mr. Kim, he went to America in 5 o'clock plane. It was already 5:30 a.m. Tae, what? No way. He screamed, panicking, which startled Mr. and Mrs. Kim. Mrs. Kim, I thought you knew that Jungkook got a scholarship to America. Taeyang felt like his world stopped for some seconds, as he couldn't believe what he was hearing, because before few hours JK was with him, but now JK had already left to America. Taeyang immediately ran upstairs as he entered JK's room, almost breaking the door, just to find the room was empty. He felt his worst nightmare coming true. Nothing was left except some photos of JK, and the whole painting room was gone. No traces there which would be able to reveal once it was a painting room. Tears started to fall down along Tae's cheeks unknowingly as he sat on JK's bed, as he remembered the last words of JK. You don't have to worry anymore. This filthy peasant is not going to irritate you anymore. He cried harder as he bowled upon the bed without knowing how he can ever escape himself from the guilt which he was feeling at the moment. He knew it was the punishment for what he did. They, you really left me, Cookie. He cried until he fell asleep on JK's bed.